It wasn't something where we were like, yeah, let's figure out if we can go somewhere in the summer. Like we actually were like June 19th, 2021, we're going to do this. So we thought of ideas of things that we wanted to do, and then we locked them into our calendar. So they were already there, already set in stone. It was non-negotiable for us, right? So that I think is where we struggle a lot, where we say, yeah, I'd love to do this thing. Maybe we'll do it in the summer. No. If you're going to actually make sure that you take time off and actually make sure that you set some little adventures or goals or things for yourself throughout the year, you have to be very intentional about it.
Hey there, my name's Ashley Church.
And I'm Erin West.
We were once newly promoted crime scene and latent print supervisors on mutual struggle buses as we both simultaneously tried to navigate through the challenges within our forensic units.
Now we run a business where we create tools and resources that we wish we had had to make these transitions easier. We like to talk about the experiences we've had in the forensic field, the good, the bad, and the ugly, in the hopes to create awareness around these issues and move the needle forward to create positive change in the forensic community.
So if you're a forensic professional, regardless of your years of experience, who's not afraid to dive into real, raw, and sometimes uncomfortable topics, you're in the right place.
This is the Forensics Unfiltered podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Forensics Unfiltered. In the last episode, we talked about reflecting before setting goals and designing a year that doesn't completely wreck you in the process. Today, we want to talk about what happens after reflection when real life shows up. Because if you've been in forensic work for more than about 5 minutes, you probably already know this, but work has a way of taking everything you don't intentionally protect. It fills the open space, it expands into the weekends, it creeps into evenings, holidays, and the I'll plan something later parts of your life. And for a long time, we told ourselves that was just part of the job. We used digital calendars, we tried to plan trips when things slowed down, quote unquote, and we waited for the perfect stretch of time that never actually came. And eventually we realized something uncomfortable. If we didn't schedule joy on purpose, it simply wasn't going to happen. So in this episode, we're talking about the big ass calendar. Yes, that's the actual name of the calendar, and how planning many adventures throughout the year has become one of the most important tools that we use to reduce burnout, to set boundaries, and protect our life outside of work. This isn't about luxury travel. It's not about escaping your job. And it's definitely not about pretending forensic work is predictable. It's about deciding ahead of time that your life matters just as much as your work does. So if you've ever said, I'll plan something once this case is done, or things are just too busy right now, or maybe next year, this episode is for you. So let's talk about why we plan fun first and how it's changed everything for us.
2026, here we come.
Okay, so Erin, I cannot not even take credit for the big ass calendar. You were the one that found it. So tell us where you found the big ass calendar, why it was attractive to you, and how we got started on planning these mini adventures.
So listen, I'm pretty sure it was a social media ad. It got me good, you know?
As it always does.
As it always does. The algorithm knew me well. But yes, we started the big ass calendar 2 years ago. So I think we got it 2 years ago. And it's basically a calendar that shows your entire year. So each line is 1 month. So you have 12 lines. Each line is 1 month. So you can plan out your entire year. Some of the crazy things that it does really is you realize when you can see your whole entire year on one big poster that a year goes by fast. You really don't have that much time, you know? It seems like we have time, but many of you, right now we're rolling in hot to another year. And if you look back on 2025, I mean, damn, that went by fast, right? Like in the blink of an eye. We didn't think it would, but here we are. So the big ass calendar really makes you plan and think about your year more intentionally. So I liked the concept of it when I saw it. We bought them, hung them on our walls, and we've kind of stuck to the concepts behind the big ass calendar since then, honestly.
Yeah, it even talks about misogi, like something that you want to just like take ownership of. And I will say, like, I'm really bad about that. I think I set the first year I was like, I want to learn how to ballroom dance, and then I didn't do anything to reach that goal. And then the second year, I think I said I wanted to do like taekwondo. So maybe this is my year. But something that we did stick to was at the very beginning of the year, as you are visualizing your calendar, you're trying to do like chunks of time and time blocks. It does encourage you to schedule at the very beginning of the year 6 mini adventures. And I love that concept because I know for sure during my forensic career, and especially now as a mom, time flies by so fast. By the time you're like, man, like, I wish we would have gone on this trip, or I wish we did something special for Christmas or something like that, it's kind of too late to plan those things. Maybe at that point too, like other people have already, requested time off, and like, oh, I can't request time off now. And like, then your whole year is just like, well, what did I do? Like, did I do anything fun, or was I just working? So I
Yeah.
love how it just kind of forces you to schedule these mini adventures like at the very beginning of the year. And we've done some really fun things. So looking back on the past 2 years, let's go through some of our mini adventures that we've completed.
Yeah, we've been actually really good about the mini adventures. And like, I'm sure Ashley will drop a link for the big ass calendar, like if you want to check it out yourself. And she did kind of mention the concept, like some of the overall concept of it. But if you were going to do the big ass calendar, the what did you, is it Misogi?
Misagi, I don't know.
Yeah, some of you guys will know, and we totally butchered that. But essentially, every year of your life, you should be able to look back on that year and remember like one huge thing that you accomplished. So at the beginning of the year, you should be planning out like this year, when I look back on 2026, I want to know that this was the year that I did whatever. So she brought up like ballroom dancing or whatever. Mine was, and I didn't do this either, a fail. It's okay. We start again every year. But mine was like, I really wanted to learn like home design and like how to like do projects in my home. Not very good with power tools or anything like that. I really wanted to learn that. I didn't do that either. And then each quarter of the year, you're supposed to have something that you're working on growing and developing. And then you have the 6 mini adventures. We've been really good about the mini adventures. You're supposed to plan one adventure for every 2 months so that you basically always have something to look forward to. And you make these really core memories throughout the year. We've done some really fun things, which honestly, if we had not done this big ass calendar and like planned these things, I don't think we would have done any of these things. Like, I don't think I would have done them. Yeah. And you guys have seen, like, we've made blog posts on a lot of these things, but we did a trip to the June, which was in Canada. We didn't even know it was in Canada. We randomly went. We went to Niagara Falls, and then we went to the June, and it was really incredible. Highly recommend the June. We love it. So we did that. We did our color analysis. That was super fun. And we did that in a different state from where we both live, very randomly. So,
Yeah. Oklahoma City.
yeah, we did it in Oklahoma City. Super fun. That was really great and a good core memory. We did the Eras tour in Miami, gold bodysuit, night one. That was super fun. We planned that for months. What else did we do?
Well, we went back to the June this past year for Christmas, and that was
So
that was
fun.
not planned, but that was awesome. I
So
think we
fun.
should include it in the 6 mini adventures. But we also did your puzzling contest.
Oh my gosh, that's right. We went and competed in the National Jigsaw Puzzle Speed Championship like crazy people.
It
And it
was
was
so
actually
fun.
really fun. So I did the individual competition. Ashley and I did pairs together. And then we joined these other two random girls and we competed in the team competition as well. And that was in DC. And when we were in DC, we also did like tea on the town and
It was
did
supposed to be the cherry blossoms festival, but cherry blossoms have already blossomed.
yes.
So we didn't get to see that.
There were only a few left. So we did that adventure. That was super fun. Gosh, what else did we do?
Those are the ones that stick out the most.
Yes, those definitely stick out in our brain.
I mean, those are pretty epic adventures too. I know we also had like personal ones like that we did with our own family.
Yeah.
But together, those are the ones that we did. The color analysis, Taylor Swift, the June, and the puzzling contest. So
I know. So random. I wore my like 2025 National Jigsaw Puzzle Championship thing to my t-shirt to Pilates the other day. And one of the people in Pilates was like, there's puzzle contests. And I was like, yeah, there is. They're really fun.
Okay, so reflecting back before we used the big ass calendar in our careers, I want to like kind of dive deeper into the experience that we had, maybe using our own digital calendars or a planner or something, and how work using those things like slowly started to creep into our personal lives, taking over the empty space in our lives. And then, before we know it, we're just kind of slaves to work and we don't do anything fun.
Yeah. I think very early in my career, like I had a very life-altering experience that made me reprioritize everything in my life. And I feel like you did too.
Yes.
So I don't know that I would have learned those lessons without that kind of thing happening. But when I was new in my career, I was very passionate, very dedicated. Not that I don't feel that way now, but I did not have balance. I would, check my emails at home. I would work at home sometimes without like actually putting hours in for that stuff, like trying to catch up, writing reports, writing emails, stuff like that. I would sacrifice a lot of personal time with the thought of like, I can do that thing later. I can take a vacation later. I can spend time with this person later. Like they'll always be later. And it turned out that later was not always available. And some of us, some of you guys out there have learned that lesson the hard way, that those people and those experiences that you put off in your life, like thinking there'll be another opportunity to do it, something happens and that opportunity is no longer there.
Before we jump back in, I want to tell you a quick story that I think you will relate to. In one of our forensic labs, we had this latent print processing flowchart just hanging on the wall. It was old and crusty. Who knows how long it had been there? And it was that sad brown and beige color. You know the one I'm talking about, because somehow every forensic lab seems to have this one processing flowchart. Not only was it unpleasant to look at, it really wasn't that easy to follow. And honestly, most people didn't use it at all. It just blended into the background of the lab wall and became white noise. You forgot it was even there. And then on the rare occasion someone would actually reference it, it would suggest a reagent or a technique we hadn't used in a while. So now you're standing there scratching your head thinking, okay, how exactly do we apply this again? This usually meant walking back to our desk, digging through an SOP, or reading an SDS sheet. And let's be honest, written instructions are not always helpful in the moment. A video would have been so much better. That exact frustration is why we created the comprehensive latent print processing flowchart poster, now updated for 2026. This poster is huge. It's 48 by 36 inches and combines the full processing workflows for the most common surface types into one clear, modern reference. And can I tell you about the coolest feature of this flowchart and what makes it interactive? The flowchart includes QR codes, and when you scan that QR code, it links you directly to a step-by-step video demonstration. Boom! While you're standing right there in front of the flowchart, you can get a quick refresher on reagents and techniques that you haven't used in a while. For the 2026 update, we've added a QR-linked video for small particle reagent. We've also incorporated VMD steps for wet, non-porous, and greasy surfaces. And we've also added acid violet 17 for bloody surface processing. So what's on your wall reflects current techniques and best practices used in forensic labs today. Now, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast episode, you may not be able to see the flowchart, so you'll just have to trust me or click the link below to see for yourself. But we've intentionally designed this flowchart to be something you actually look at, use, and trust. Head to gapsciencemerch.com, that's gapsciencemerch.com, to order the 2026 updated version of the comprehensive latent print processing flowchart poster and turn that wall space into something that truly supports your work. All right, back to the episode.
Some of you guys out there have learned that lesson the hard way, that those people and those experiences that you put off in your life, like thinking there'll be another opportunity to do it, something happens and that opportunity is no longer there. And so I did that a lot very, very early on, where work absolutely bled into all of the corners of my life. And it did because I loved it, and it didn't bother me that that was happening until other things happened. And so I reprioritized everything at that point. But I consistently throughout my career have tried to use planners, use digital calendars, like all of that stuff to try to like organize my life. And it does have a tendency to always get derailed, because in forensics, I mean, we are living that on-call life. And so you can plan as much as you want to, and then something happens and you get a call out and all of that goes to the wind. So I've had to, over the years, kind of set harder boundaries around, what I'm going to do after I leave the office, and intentionally planning time away, days off, vacation, all of that kind of stuff. How about you?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a blessing and a curse to be able to have like laptops and cell phones. And like, I thought it was so cool. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, they're giving me a work phone. I feel so important. And then you realize, like, whenever I turned my work phone in, it was incredible. The feeling that I had, like feeling so much lighter.
Yeah.
So I think like work kind of taking over the empty spaces in your life, like, oh, I don't have something planned, or I don't need to rush home. So, or, oh, like, traffic's really bad right now, so I'll just stay at work and do a couple of things until traffic dies down. And I think if you keep letting that happen, I think that's when eventually you're just kind of a slave to work. But I think some of the other things too is I would always feel guilty or very anxious about taking time off or taking time away or driving out of the county to go hang out with family or something like that. So I think that also kind of affected me planning anything, like planning just some of the personal things just for yourself, like crafts, hobbies, working out, and then other fun things like vacations and time with your family and stuff like that. You said it perfectly, is like a planner or a digital calendar just kind of organized your time, but it didn't force us to set aside time for what matters most.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like the reframing with the big ass calendar and like the 6 mini adventures, I think has been very, very helpful for me. Kind of thinking about that, reflecting on like how life was, especially earlier in our careers, was there anything that you kept telling yourself instead of planning some of these fun things, like things that you wanted to do or bucket list items?
When I was younger in my career, I just kept being like, oh, I'll do that next year, like whatever. There seemed to be an endless amount of time. Now, as a supervisor and a leader, I think one of the things that we commonly tell ourselves is that, like, if I leave, all things will go to shit. Like, I can't take a day off because we have this massive project or this thing's going on or whatever. And so with the mini adventures, when we started doing this, obviously the intention is to give yourself something to look forward to. But what I found happening was I was looking forward to it. And I started telling a lot of people like, oh my gosh, I have this thing planned and I'm so excited about it, whatever. And then it happened. And then I would come back and I'd be like, oh my gosh, it was so fun. And now I have this next thing coming up. So I found myself talking a lot about these things happening outside of work, like these exciting things that I had coming. And then after they were over, being like, oh my God, that was so fun. I would totally do it again. And it's still hard sometimes, right? It's still hard to be like, oh my gosh, I have this thing planned and we have all this stuff coming on at work. But I've been planning this for months. Like, it's happening. I'm going, But as a leader, I think it's really important for your staff to see you also making healthy boundaries and doing things in your personal life completely unrelated to work, you know? So they're hearing me talk about like these exciting little adventures that I've planned throughout my year. And then when I'm coming back and feeling like refreshed, like my cup is full, you know, and I'm coming back with all this energy and excitement and these stories to tell them about the adventures that I had, I feel like it gives them good perspective too on like what is kind of proper balance or like things you can do to balance the stress of being a forensic professional.
Yeah. I know early in my career, like the things that I would tell myself, especially the first year. And I think some of it's valid, but maybe it's just the way I was raised. It's like, you don't take time off the first year. You have to like prove yourself. You have to, you know, be a team player. And like, I think that's why I jumped in so head on. Even my first year, the way they rotated night shift was like everyone had 2 weeks on night shift, and then they would have 5 weeks on day shift, and then they would have 2 weeks on night shift. And I opted to do like 12 weeks straight of night shift. Some of it was for personal reasons, like we just had a puppy and I needed to have someone in the house. So like my husband was working as a teacher, so he took the daytime to go work and I took the nighttime to go work. But some of it also was because they'll think I'm amazing if I just take their night shifts for them. That's how some of
They
that
don't
stuff
care.
started. But as far as like taking time off too, I remember there was one crime scene investigator that every January they would block off like their PTO for the entire year. And of course, it was like coveted time. Sometimes they would take off every holiday, which I don't think is fair.
Probably like
It
scandalous.
was
It was
very
probably,
scandalous. There was a lot of
yeah,
rumbling from all of the other coworkers.
yeah,
And now I'm like, actually, you should do that.
yeah. And you also said something that I think is very common in forensics too, is that she did something that, I mean, she had personal reasons why she did it, why she did night shift for 12 weeks, but she also interpreted that as something that her team and her department would appreciate, which they don't, by the way.
They
So,
forget about it the next day.
yes. So a lot of the times we do that to ourselves where we're like, you know, I want to make sure I'm always available on my phone. I'm always available on my email. Anytime they call, they can access me. And that is not appreciated to the degree that we think it is. That doesn't necessarily make us more valuable. We talk about this in our classes and stuff like that about, you know, people that have retired and they've dedicated their whole life to that place and they think it's absolutely going to blow up when they leave, and they leave and like a year later the new people in there don't even know who they are. It's a corporation. It's going to move on whether you're there or not. So a lot of us guilt ourselves or you know think that we're doing it because it is appreciated and valued. And don't get us wrong, your corporation that you work for absolutely will take any of your free time or any of your effort that you're willing to provide them. But is it necessarily valued? Like when any of us leave or retire, they're going to pop someone right into our spot and keep chugging along like we never existed. So a lot of us fall for that trap that Ashley said right there.
Another trap that I remember preventing me from planning something or taking time off or something like that. When I switched agencies, the first agency I worked for, we had on-call shifts and we had your shift that you physically worked. And then when it's your weekend, it's your weekend. Like no one's calling you. Maybe once in a while, if someone's looking for like one of your reports or something, like they'll call you, but you're not expected to like answer, or you're not expected to like drop everything and come to work. And then the next agency that I went to, it was this expectation that if a homicide came in, it's all hands on deck. So there was some crime scene investigators that protected their weekends. They're like, I'm not on call. I'm not getting paid to be on call. And I'm not physically working. So like, I am going to do what I'm going to do with my personal life. And I'm not going to tell you about it. I don't need to be here and available for a homicide that comes in when I wasn't scheduled to work. And the perception of that was like, oh, they're not a team player, like da 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 da. So like, I tried to always make myself available and not plan things and not travel out of the county or whatever to help with the slack of other people not wanting to be available. And now looking back on it, I'm like, you know what? I kind of get it. And I think that's actually an unreasonable expectation. I don't feel like I need to tell my supervisor or get permission, like, hey, my weekend's coming up. I'm not on call. Is it okay if I go see my grandma in, 2 counties over? I just don't feel like that should be a thing, but it was. And so it definitely prevented me from planning fun things or like doing something spontaneous.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've had these experiences like before, earlier in our careers, our major life events happened. We have a different perception about taking time off, planning things, doing fun things, doing bucket list items, but using like the traditional calendars, we still weren't setting a time aside for those things. We knew that we were valuable, but we still, like, a whole year would go by and we didn't do any of the things that we wanted to accomplish or wanted to experience. So how has using this physical calendar, seeing it all in one year, different from a digital one, and what decisions became easier once we saw the whole year all at once?
Yeah. I think if you're using a physical or digital calendar and you cannot see your whole entire year, you're really not thinking about the stuff that's happening next week or next month or whatever, because you're just looking at your single day. So I think having something like the big ass calendar where you see the whole entire year, you can see where everything is, when it's coming up. It's just easier to plan, like to see everything all in one setting. And I think one of the things when we first got the big ass calendar and we were like, let's try this, like, let's see what happens. We actually sat down and picked dates that we were going to do these things and set them in stone at the beginning of the year. So like when Ashley said that coworker like went and had all of their vacation pre-planned, we kind of made that non-negotiable for ourselves, right? So we sat down and we said, okay, what do you have available in April? What do you have available in June? And then we put that stuff on our calendar and locked that stuff in. So it wasn't something where we were like, yeah, let's figure out if we can go somewhere in the summer. Like we actually were like June 19th, 21st, we're going to do this. So we thought of ideas of things that we wanted to do, and then we locked them into our calendar. So they were already there, already set in stone. It was non-negotiable for us, right? So that I think is where we struggle a lot, where we say, yeah, I'd love to do this thing. Maybe we'll do it in the summer. No, if you're going to actually make sure that you take time off and actually make sure that you set some little adventures or goals or things for yourself throughout the year, you have to be very intentional about it. You have to actually sit down, look at your calendar and be like, okay, March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we are going to do this. I'm putting it in the calendar and taking the PTO now. So I think doing that, seeing it all together and doing that made us actually start doing these things.
I think it takes away some of the guilt too. So like if I were to go put in time off and request PTO all at once at the beginning of the year, it's not a surprise. Like everyone knew that my vacation was coming up. I was going to have these days off. Instead of it being a spontaneous thing where like that guilt kind of sets in, like, oh, it's going to leave them shorthanded, or my supervisor's just going to have to figure it out. Like, how are we going to handle just having X amount of staff on this day, or court comes up. And so now I have a subpoena and now I feel guilty about, not being available for court. I think it definitely takes away. So if you're a people pleaser, a chronic people pleaser like me, I think it takes away some of that anxiety and that guilt. It's like, well, I already had this plan. So
I would also say too, like many of the adventures that we planned, they were like a day or like a weekend. So we weren't looking at our year and taking whole weeks of time, right?
True.
We were looking at it and be like, hey, why don't we do this Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Or why don't we do this on this Saturday? We didn't even necessarily have to take PTO for a lot of that stuff, but locking it in on the calendar, like when we're talking about mini adventures, you guys don't have to think like, oh my gosh, this could cost a fortune, or, oh my gosh, I don't have that much PTO. Like you can literally plan for like, okay, on this Saturday in June, we're going to go do this fun thing. It doesn't even have to be big or far away from where you are. We are just really random and like to go to Canada. But
highly highly recommend.
Yeah, we do. We highly recommend. But I also think it's really fun. Like my husband, for example, is very much a planner. So he has to like think about things and like get it in his mind for like a really long period of time. But having a friend like Ashley, like I can call Ashley on a Tuesday and be like, should we go to Canada on Friday? And she's like, hell yeah, we should go. And we go. So if you have people like that, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be your family or your spouse or whatever that you're thinking about doing this with. But if you have, you know, friends that are down for something fun. One of the other things we did as a mini adventure was a cruise. We did a cruise with all of our girls. It was super fun. And that was a little weekend guy. So, yeah.
Agreed. I'm thinking of like other mini adventures that I've done with other friends. Like there's one friend that I have that's obsessed with sharks. And one day she's like, will you go shark diving with me? And I was like, sure. So that could be a mini adventure.
Yeah, for sure. I had a girlfriend who'd never been to New York and she was like, can we go to New York City? I was like, hell yeah. I would love to go to the Sphere. And I mean, I know that those
See
are
the Backstreet
random.
Boys?
Yes, I know those are random and far away. But yeah, I'd be down for all those things.
I definitely think having that, like the system that we've adapted has definitely helped us say no, or at least pause before saying yes to other things, not just in our personal life too, but also like business and career wise as well. As Erin mentioned in a past episode, like we are invited to conferences all the time and we
Yeah.
love conferences. I think it's super fun, but those types of things can also start creeping up. You start saying yes to a lot of things and it kind of hijacks your time. So if you want to protect this year, I want to experience these things, it definitely protects it a little bit. So you make sure that those things don't kind of all at once just take over your calendar, your schedule.
For sure.
Okay, so you guys get the gist of what the Big Ass Calendar is about, the importance of scheduling mini adventures. So you can come along with us as we schedule some of our mini adventures for 2026. So, Erin, is there anything that you want to do or experience this year?
So many things, so many things. One of the mini adventures that we've done in the past that we have loved every time we've done it is the June. And this last Christmas, we went to the June very randomly. Like we talked about earlier, they sent us an email on a Tuesday and we were like, should we go on Friday? And then we went. It's a holiday thing that they do every year. And they had ornament painting and wreath making. And they had a wine bus that took us to like some of the local wineries and we sang carols and Taylor Swift songs on the wine bus. And then we came back and they had a pajamas, pizza, and Prosecco party. It was so fun. We also went to a local restaurant that I swear should be like a Michelin chef. It was so good.
Everything we tried was so damn good.
It was so good. So the whole thing was so fun. And I would love to do that again. We had a great time. We were actually thinking about kind of opening it up to some of you guys, you know, some of our Gap Science family and being like, hey, we're taking this mini adventure in December. Like, come with us if you want to go. Like, here's all the information about where we'll be. Join us on the wine bus, ornament painting, like whatever. It was super, super fun. So I would love to plan that for December. Another thing I just sent Ashley the other day that I really want to do this year is I want to get tickets to go to Ulta Beauty World.
Yes, let's do that.
That is in April. So I've seen so many reviews from all the people that went to Ulta Beauty World last year. It is in April. The tickets come open in January. You are not allowed to buy tickets for other people. You can only buy your own ticket. So Ashley and I already have it on my calendar. We're going to have to, the day that they open, try to buy our tickets for Ulta Beauty World. So I'm really excited for that. I think that would be such a fun adventure. And supposedly you get like thousands of dollars worth of products while you're there too. They don't allow you to bring any, you're allowed to bring, I guess, one backpack this year. So you have to, we'll have to figure that situation out. Ashley has a huge backpack ready to go.
I do. I take it
So
to all of the conferences.
yeah, so I do want to do that this year. And then another that will be kind of a multi-purpose trip that I think would be really fun is we just finished the reindeer games. And one of the things we did last year with the reindeer games is we had an agency that specifically just asked for like a celebration of them. And so we went and did that. We got balloons and snacks and pizza, and we went to that department and had a fun celebration with them. And this year we had kind of the same thing happen with the reindeer games. A bunch of people wrote their letters to Santa. There are a few agencies, I think, that asked for like a celebration. And so Ashley and I talked about actually going to that state and having a little time away, but also celebrating that department as like a kind of combination thing. So I think that would also be really fun to schedule. It would be, a weekend away for us to like get to go somewhere and experience stuff. And then also a little celebration for the forensic people that participated in the reindeer game. So those are three ideas I have for this year that I think would be fun mini adventures.
Yeah, and I'm down for all of those.
Do you have anything you'd really like to do in 2026?
I don't know. So some of the bucket list things that I've always wanted to do is experience New York City at Christmas time,
Oh my gosh, so
specifically the Macy's
amazing.
Day Parade, which I don't know. It seems very intimidating to try to plan. And then as far as like I'm thinking of other things like outside of the business and stuff, but I've always wanted to like I have Pinterest boards of some of the places I want to travel in the United States. And one of them is like Arizona and doing like all of those like crazy
Yeah.
hiking and like, stuff like that. So that would be fun. And seeing snow, it could be the beginning of this year or it could be at the very tail end. But this past December was really warm. So there wasn't a whole lot of states in driving distance with snow.
I love that. You should do this. This randomly popped into my brain, but you're very good at it, and I'm not good at it. And it's probably because you're such like a visual person, but you're really good at vision boards. I've actually looked at like this is how my brain works. I was like, I need to take a class on how to do a vision board, like a
You
proper
don't need
vision.
to do that.
I know, like I
Just
need
do
to take
it.
a class on how to do a proper vision board. But I've seen so many people that create vision boards and then they go back at the end of the year and they're like, all of this stuff happened. Like, and I don't know if it's just because it's in your face all year long. So you're really thinking about all of those things. But I would love to know the thought process behind like, is it just random? You're just randomly like,
No,
I feel like it's not random, you know?
I have a vision board.
I know you do. You
Um,
always do them.
There is one YouTube video that I use that kind of like gets the juices flowing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really, she's very woo-woo, but it gets you in that space of like, what do I really want? What do I really want to experience? What do I want out of
I
life?
would love
What do I
that.
want to accomplish? And the stuff that's important to you this year is going to be like this. You're going to look at your vision board from last year and be like, I really don't want to accomplish that anymore. So it is important to do that like every year. So I do need to get on mine. So
I would
maybe
love
we'll
that.
plan a weekend and we can do it together.
I would love that. I would love to do a vision board because I feel like I've seen so many videos and stuff of people like, I put it on my vision board and it happened. And I would love to have something in my office here that's like up on the wall of all of my goals for the year. But I really don't know. Like I told you, like my brain is like, I need a class for someone to teach me what to put on my vision board.
I will help with that. We'll put that on our to-do list.
That'll be
I
a
don't know if that would be a
January
mini
one.
adventure. Should we?
Okay.
It depends on where we do it, I guess.
Savannah?
The beach? I don't know.
Yes. Let's
Maybe
do
a
it.
snowy cabin. That would be fun.
I could get down for that. That could be great. Obviously, we've talked about this in this episode, but this is something that we really just started over the last few years, and it has made a big impact on our business, our personal lives, and our work. So if you guys have things that you have been wanting to do and just haven't done, we urge you to make this year the year that you go ahead and do it. go ahead and plan those things out. It's very early in the year. There's still plenty of time, and it gives you so much stuff to look forward to. So think about your family, think about your friends. Who are people that would go on little mini adventures with you, whether that be little local things. Maybe you want to learn something new. You want to go to the local farmer's market. You want to go to a town that's an hour away that you've never been to, whatever that may be. Or maybe you want to travel far and do fun adventures with friends in other places that you've never been to. Look at your calendar now, set some time aside to actually do those things, and it'll give you something to look forward to, something to fill your cup, and really a bunch of experiences throughout the year that will help make your 2026 even more memorable. And stop letting your work bleed into all of the other areas of your life. Do your best to set some boundaries for 2026. As we wrap up this episode, here's what we want to leave you with. Rest, joy, and time away don't magically appear when the work gets lighter. And like, honestly, does the work ever get lighter? No. You must plan. The work will never be lighter. So in your forensic careers, and honestly, in most helping professions, the work is always going to be there. There's always going to be another case, always another email, another deadline, another reason to postpone living your actual life. That's why planning mini adventures isn't indulgent, it's protective. When you put something on the calendar months in advance, you're not just planning a trip, you're setting a boundary. You're giving yourself something to look forward to and reminding yourself that the entire year doesn't belong to your job. And those plans, they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be expensive. They just have to be intentional. If you take one thing away from this episode, please let it be this. Don't wait for someday. Schedule the life you want now within the reality that you're actually already living. In our next episode, we're going to talk about professional boundaries in forensic careers, the ones that we didn't have early on, what that cost us, and the boundaries that we made that finally changed everything. Because planning joy is one boundary, but learning how to protect your time, energy, and availability every single day is just as important. Thanks for being here and for choosing to build a career and a life that you don't need to recover from. We'll see you in the next episode.
Woo! That gave me chills.
Thank you so much for being here and listening to Forensics Unfiltered. If you liked this episode, would you do us a favor and leave a review letting us know specifically what you liked about this topic? It will only take a minute, but it will really help us plan future episodes so we can bring you more topics that you want to listen to. We'll be sure to provide any links from today's episode in our show notes on our website. Head to www.gapscience.com. Until next time, stay safe out there.